Was there ever a point of concern, or was it just, we know we're going to come back, even if it's overtime, it's going to be fine?
We knew we were going to win. We knew we were going to win. Listen, we ain't losing to Zeta, you know what I mean? We ain't losing to Zeta. We ain't losing to Billy again. Trust me right now, we'll be in playoffs, and we're guaranteed. I promise you that.
They're on the run. They're trying to get towards B as fast as they can. Climb the hills. K-Knight on the punish.
K-Knight with 3 though to deal with.
That's so many, and they're finished. Wait, Icy eviscerating 3 on elbow, breaking him, and look at the flag. Yosemite stabs him in the back. Billy cleaning up here. K-Knight watching this though, should have the favorable fight, and he does with YZ. Catching off both and leaving Som, who's only got 30 HP alive. And K-Knight, he's feeling confident, and rightly so. Billy switching it up on a double to this. Crashies trying to play through first, gets to the site, he's got the one, and Finesse with another, but Yosemite has been monstrous!
There's no way!
The truly unthinkable might just be happening, and it has! It's been 614 days since NRG crashed out in a group stage, and we got to witness it here against Billy.
We ain't losing to Billy again. Trust me right now, we'll be in playoffs, and we're guaranteed. I promise you that.
Welcome back to VCT Team Preview, the only series breaking down every VCT America's team before the start of the season. And after what you just saw, I don't think I could have written a more poetic end to NRG's Valorant season, even if I tried. Losing 2-0 to Billy twice was definitely not on my bingo card. For many, this is how NRG's 2023 season will be remembered, which is quite unfortunate for them, but you'd be mistaken to use this loss as evidence for them having a bad year, because NRG's 2023 season was anything but. Going into 2023, there were some high expectations from the community for NRG. They had assembled a squad made of the historic Optic core, who at the time many considered the best team in Valorant's short history. They had taken players Victor, Crashies, and FNS from Optic, while importing European superstar Artlist to come play Duelist for them. The only real question mark surrounding the team was their 5th player Som. He was the only player NRG kept from their 2022 roster and had been with the team for years at this point. Only thing was, with this new team, he would need to make a role swap to controller. He had played Duelist his entire career before. A pivot to a role like controller wouldn't be easy. Also adding to the fact that he was expected to fill the shoes of previous Optic controller player Marved, often regarded as one of the best smokes players in VCT at the time. Yeah, the pressure was real. But come VCT lock-in in February, the first time the world would get to see this team play together, Som quickly put to rest any questions we had about him.
Here's the burst again. Wolfen instantly going to fight towards Som. Som great dealing with the first low, front line dealt with. Now you got to look towards who else is remaining. We know that Koi are running as a pack in this. There's 3 players who are the heavy hitters, and they're mostly still standing. Som though yet to be cleared fully from this. Rez comes in, do they get a partner? Huge from Som, holding it down and giving NRG the finest.
Oh no.
Oh, we
got one. What?
Oh,
Big one.
Well, GG.
Oh no.
Yes!
Oh my god!
He was fantastic from the get-go. He put on an incredible show at lock-in and was able to keep it up for the rest of the VCT season. Throughout 8 weeks of VCT America's league play, he was the highest rated controller player in the league and 7th highest rated player overall. He boasted a stat line of a 1.14 impact rating, 206 ACS, 1.19 KD, and 128 ADR. Throughout the year, he certainly had the most highlight plays out of any player on NRG and was known for his many ridiculous multi-kills. But beyond that, he showed a keen understanding of the controller role. He wasn't just a fragger playing smokes, and when it came to the other players on the team, they also certainly carried their weight. Crashies and Victor are now the longest standing duo in Valorant history. They've been playing together for years now, and with that much time together, you can easily see the trust in their gameplay. When you look at VCT over the last couple years and think of consistency and longevity, both Crashies and Victor are some of the first names that should pop up in your head. They've just been so good for so long that they often get overlooked for more flashy or personable players. But when it came to the regular season this year, they did their jobs, often really well. Crashies finished the Americas League as the 8th highest rated player in the league, with Victor coming in hot as the 3rd highest rated player in the league overall. These guys were sneakily insane, and we definitely don't mention them enough when talking about the best players in their respective roles year after year. As for their import player Artlist, he was okay throughout the year for NRG. When it came to Jet players in the league, he actually had the 4th highest rating. The thing is, he didn't only play Jet, and looking at his performances on Raze, Sage, and Killjoy throughout the season, you could say he left much to be desired, especially to Killjoy. The Killjoy was a bit rough. The thing with Artlist is, no doubt we saw incredible moments from him throughout the year, but in the same vein, it also felt like he couldn't really step up when the team needed him most. Trying to fill the shoes that Ye left in the optic core felt like a pretty impossible task for any duelist player, and you could definitely tell through his gameplay that at times Artlist wasn't always synced up with the team. Watching him on NRG this year, I couldn't help but feel that I was watching a great player, but he was just playing for the wrong team. You could see that the chemistry really just wasn't always there, and it ended up costing them in some crucial moments throughout the year. And of course, we can't forget the IGL himself, FNS. At this point, everyone knows how strong of an IGL FNS is. He's one of the most experienced and tenured players in all of VCT at this point. He's the guy that led that incredible optic team of 2022 to many deep tournament runs. And while NRG weren't as successful this year as optic was in previous years, I really did feel as though FNS still managed to elevate his game in 2023. While not the most hard fragging IGL out there, he managed to put on some solid performances for himself throughout the year. His calling was very strong, and you could see that NRG entered most of their matches with a very solid game plan. When it came to just pure IGLing, I think you could comfortably put FNS as a top 5 IGL in all of VCT this past year. At this point, he's become exceptional at reading opponent teams, calling for smart and fast rotations, and all while still finding perfect lurk timings for himself. He's the complete package for IGLs. When it came to results in 2023, NRG really did better than most. They finished the VCT lock in Sao Paulo one clutch away from a top 4 placing. They placed 2nd in VCT America's playoffs. They finished top 4 at Masters Tokyo and closed out their year unfortunately with a group stage exit at Champions at the hands of Bilibili Gaming, the Chinese wildcards. While they had pretty consistent placements throughout the year, I never felt like they actually realized the full potential of their roster. When looking at their past year, I think one of the biggest issues NRG had was their team ended up being a little too flexible. Some games Artlist would play Duelist, other games Victor would. Some games Crashies would be on Viper, other times it would be FNS. And the funniest one to me was that at one point or another, 4 out of their 5 players played at least a couple games of Killjoy this year. When you constantly have your players swapping agents from map to map, it's typically difficult to get the very best out of them. Players need consistency to perform their best, and the agent select for NRG was anything but consistent. These constant role and agent switches weren't of course their only issues. They definitely got outread by some top teams throughout the season when going for those deep runs at tournaments, like Fnatic absolutely dismantling their Harbor Bind comp when it had shown to be successful in the Americas League before. And looking at Artlist's comments at Champions and the Optic Core's now storied losses against underdogs from other regions, I could see you making the argument that they tend to underestimate or underprepare for specific opponents. I mean, looking at a team like NRG, a team with this much experience in all their players should never be losing to a team like Bilibili, let alone twice in the same tournament. Regardless, it truly was a mostly successful year for the team. But looking now forward to 2024, this is honestly going to be a hard team to predict their placing. Early into the offseason, the team would announce the removal of players FNS and Som. This was a huge shock to many, seeing as though Som was in many ways their best player all year, and of course FNS was their leader and IGL. Som made it clear he's looking to take a break from competition for the upcoming season, while rumors had it FNS only wanted to be a part of a team that he could heavily influence the building of the roster, which is a pretty ridiculous ask considering the current landscape of VCT and North America American esports in general right now. We also saw that duelist player Artlist would leave to rejoin his former championship winning team in Navi over in Europe. I wasn't very shocked since many European players now have a reputation of coming to North America for the bag and then subsequently dipping out pretty soon after. But to fill the void in the team, NRG recruited players Marved of Sentinels and Demon1 and Ethan of the World Championship winning team EG. If you're familiar with these players, you can immediately tell that this roster on paper has one of the highest potentials in all of VCT. Demon1 was a breakout superstar of Valorant this year. He was a monster for EG in the Americas League and continued that dominance into their deep runs at both international tournaments he attended this year. Ethan was a fantastic flex player for EG, often known for his excellent utility usage and team coordination, while Marved was a bright spot for Sentinels given their pretty terrible season this year. Also, not to mention, he's a former Masters champion and was regarded as one of, if not the best controller player in all of VCT 2022. This guy has ice in his veins. The thing is, when replacing 3 or more players on a team, that drastically changes the team's identity and playstyle to varying degrees. It's almost pointless to use last year's data or issues to assess how well the team will play in the upcoming season. But like I said before, looking at the pieces they do have, it does look like a great team. But of course, one of the first things that many brought up was the team's lack of a proper IGL. None of these players have been a primary IGL at the tier 1 level of competitive Valorant. Marv did it for a little bit this year on Sentinels, but that was mostly because he had to, and there was nothing particularly impressive about his calling from his time there. The team revealed that with this new roster, Ethan will actually be taking up the mantle of IGL. Considering the players they have on the team, I think this for sure makes the most sense for NRG. Ethan is a seasoned FPS player with years of experience in Counter-Strike before transitioning to Valorant. He has also been undoubtedly a very vocal player on all the Valorant rosters he's been a part of. If there is any player who could step up to the plate, it's him. He definitely won't be no FNS on first showing, but I'm pretty confident he will eventually find his stride in this new role. But of course, there's always that risk. At the end of the day, we've never seen the guy IGL in Valorant before. It could crash and burn. Wouldn't be the first time something like this has happened in Valorant. There were also some questions surrounding how the personalities on this team would work out. With players like Demon1, Marved, and an inexperienced IGL in Ethan, when the going gets tough, will there really be that emotional leader to lean on in those situations? I'm not 100% sure. But this team sure is exciting. We've got a semi-reunion with 3 players of the Optic core paired alongside 2 newly crowned world champion players. Given everything I've said, I'm looking to reluctantly place this team in the 5th place position for the upcoming VCT Americas League, but I wouldn't be completely surprised if they just blow me out of the water with a top 2 or 3 finish. I'm really curious to see how this team actually plays out. The ultimate question for NRG is, are they going to be able to live up to the potential of their roster, or will the removal of arguably their 2 most important pieces be too much for the newcomers to live up to? I guess we'll just have to see.